On this week's episode of the Hunt and Flip Show.
Yeah, you spotted a great item at that estate sale. You picked it up. So what? 12 months later, it's still in your store, not sold.
Yep.
And you thought it was at the great price, and it turned out it wasn't at the great price. You just liked the item. Yeah, you took fantastic photos, but there's no cash flow. That item is sitting there, money tied up, nothing is happening. So I think paying attention, and I kind of concentrated on this for the last couple years, and I'm seeing huge improvement because of that,
Well, welcome back to another episode. We have a special guest, but before we get to this special guest, Pete, I'm wondering, are your glasses okay? Everything good? The same
they're
glasses.
horrible.
The same glasses.
Same 10-year-old glasses. So
What's
the problem
happening?
is not fixed. What does that mean? That means I'm still on vacation as you're watching this, and I haven't come back to pick my new glasses. That's what
And we
it
have a
means.
special guest, Joe, Profit First Reseller. What's going on, buddy? Thanks for being
Hey,
with us
happy to
today.
be here, guys. This will be fun. Yeah. Like I said, I'm also on vacation here, Pete, but so it'll be nice to have some grown-up conversation for a little while. I've been hanging out with a lot of kids this week, so it'll be fun.
You know what? This guy, he was nice. I didn't know he was on vacation, but he was nice enough to like put at least a 1 hour pause on his vacation. He's at the Grand Canyon right now, and of all things to be doing, he's on a podcast with us. So
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
yeah.
was
Oh,
saying. I'm like, really, you are in such an amazing place, and you want to hang out with us.
Oh, thanks. I do. Of course I do. And this is recharge time for me, too. As an introvert, I mean, hanging out with fellas like you, I think this is going to be more of a recharge time than anything. And this was actually
No,
perfect
that's
timing. We've been going crazy for 2 days. We did Zion National Park 2 days ago and Grand Canyon yesterday. So we've been in shuttles and on the car. And today, everyone just has decided to kind of take an easy day anyway. So we're taking a day off. So this is actually
that's
perfect.
awesome. That's awesome. When are you heading back?
I got another week at least still. We've still got to
Okay.
hit up Bryce. We want to hit up Bryce Canyon and a couple other spots, a couple other national parks. While we're here, we might as well.
Gotta
hit all the
love
spots.
Bryce Canyon. That's a nice place.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
let
cool.
me ask you, people might be wondering this. So how are you doing this? You have vacation mode on there? You have someone manning the shop? How do you have that working out?
Vacation mode. I love it. Turn it
Yeah.
off. For the first few days, I didn't allow sales, and now I'm to the point where I can allow sales again within 15 days or 14 days. So I'm allowing sales, and we've had a few sales trickling in, but I'm not even paying attention. I'm probably providing pretty poor customer service on eBay, to be honest. I'll check the messages every day or two and get back to people, but no, I'm taking a full vacation. I think this is how I kind of recharge. So,
Yeah,
turn on
nice.
pause.
Sometimes you got to completely shut down and recharge. And if you can do this for 2, 3 weeks, that's even more. That's wonderful because, yeah, I know money maybe is not coming in at the moment, right? But the mindset and everything that you like, it's so worth it. It's so worth it.
I think
But it
I'm
still
fueling
is
the
coming in.
engine, right? Yeah, and as small business owners, I mean, I think we got to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Like we are the engine driving our business for the most part, and so I'm just recharging the engine. I know I'm going to come back with a fire. I mean, I'm already missing work. I'm looking for things to do. I'm like cooking meals for people. I'm like, give me something to do. I played some basketball today, so I'm learning to slow down a little bit, but I'll be ready to go when I get back, which means I'm just going to be crushing it. Like when we have the flexibility like we do to work anytime, sometimes I actually need to force myself to slow down and get some perspective because the temptation is just to work 24/7. But that doesn't mean you're working efficiently or at the things that are bringing you joy or the most profits. So this is my time to step back. I've been taking notes on my phone. I mean, like even cell service is really poor out here. And I always have my best vacations when cell service is bad and you just kind of
Right.
disconnect and get into your own
It's
thoughts. So I've been loving it.
it's funny. It's funny when you say that because my guys actually hate when I go on vacation. And I tell you why. Because I'm same way. The first week or so, I'm in that vacation mode, relaxing, enjoying my time with the family and the wife. But the second week rolls around and I'm getting all these ideas already, what I'm gonna do when I come back. And I jog them down. And they hate when I show up because I got all these new ideas that I want to implement. So they know when I go on vacation and I come back, there's gonna be new ideas, extra work for them to try things out. So it's kind of crazy, but that's how my mind or your mind is kind of wired, right? Like you
Yeah.
always thinking about stuff. So that's
course.
That's how it
Yeah.
is.
But it's good to get away from the more urgent problems sometimes too, because you can set up a life like I think a lot of us do, where there are those jobs that you can do at any given moment. There's always some fire to put out. Pete, you talk about that all the time, how your job is a firefighter so much of the time there at the shop. And it's kind of nice to
Yeah.
get, but urgent doesn't mean important. It's one of those things like sometimes you got to step back and be like, is this actually what I should be doing? Should I be delegating this? And sometimes it is what brings you joy and you miss it when you come back. But I just find that perspective so helpful because I can just get lost in my tasks, my daily jobs, like a lot of us can. And that's good in a way. But I think, we're not AI. And I think one of the books that I read a long time ago about what, maybe at least still, maybe, I don't know if there will ever be a difference forever between AI and human intelligence. But with this book called Gödel Escher Bach, he was talking about the difference between humans and AI is that we can break ourselves out of the loop. We have the ability to step back and say, I've been doing this task for a while, but is this actually serving me? And not a lot of, even AI to this day, you can set it off on a task and it'll just keep agreeing with you down into the most absurd things, but it's not good at taking a step back and saying, wait, is this loop actually serving me? You can create the loop and you can fulfill the loop, whether it's a business loop or a mental thought process, whatever it is. But it's nice to kind of step back. I love the perspective. Being at the Grand Canyon, man, talk about perspective. You're able to see literally like 100 miles out. I think that does something to your brain. It's been a good week for me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's good for a reset like that. Absolutely. So,
Pete, how do you attack vacations, Pete? When you take time away from the shop, do you expect things to ramp down? Do you expect sales to maintain while you're away, or do you just hope that there are minimal fires and you just get back, or what's your perspective on that?
yeah, I think we did mention that a little bit on a previous episode that we talked about because we mentioned that I was going away, and so is John. But I mean, things are coasting pretty normal for me. When I leave, things are as usual. Although this is a longer vacation that I'm taking, and usually from the middle of August to the end of the August, things slow down for me, especially in the shop. Maybe not so much on eBay, but in the shop because going back to school thing, like I said. So I take advantage of that. A little bit less traffic in the shop. Ryan, my manager, can handle the shop, then no problem. Less fires, obviously. Maybe if I get 1 or 2 phone calls throughout my trip, that'll be about it. So I'm hoping even less. But yeah, things are kind of moving along the way they should. So that's how I got it set up. And yeah.
How do you get people to not call you? I never got to that point in the restaurant where I got to this, I don't know if it was a trust thing for me where I could say, no, like you need to call that. And your job is to do anything except call me in a way. It would be great, but I just didn't know how to pass on that baton in a way.
So that's a great question. And Ryan, my manager, he's been with me for a very long time. And when I say long time, almost since the beginning, when I started my operation. Now, he did leave for a little bit and then came back. So he knows everything in and out, how I like things to be run. So I can almost say that unless it's something really, really, that he can't make a decision or it's involving a lot of money for some reason, then he'll pick up the phone. But everything else he can pretty much handle, which is a great thing and peace of mind for me, which is hard to find people like that. So I value him a lot,
Oh my gosh, yeah. You realize, I realize looking back, there are those customers that actually care about your business and are able to step back a little bit and break out of their employee loops and say, hey, I'm noticing you're doing this, but I think it could be done a little bit better. It's just such a diamond in the rough. And I appreciate all those managers that actually did care.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's hard to find people and trustworthy people, not only that they care about your business, but overall, this is a crazy business that I'm in, meaning there's a lot of cash involved. There's a lot of weird transactions. And to be able to trust somebody, it's a big deal. So
gosh, that is a lot of cash handling. That is a lot of you're just inherently in the job there, of course. Yeah. Alex Hormozy said something. No, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, something Alex Hormozy said something recently that made me smile. He said when he finds an employee that he really values, he sits him down and says, "What would it take for me to keep you here forever?" Just like what
Right.
would it take? Because you
Right.
realize like those you can't take people that care for granted and are confident like that. So,
And I think sometimes, when you ask that question, an employee like that, sometimes it's even worth it to the point to make them an offer that they become and part of the business, meaning they get a little share of the business, and they then completely change. Everything changes, because you knew already that they cared a lot about your business, but now they have a little part ownership in it, and that totally even changes everything. So
okay. Yeah.
it's important to value people like that for sure.
Gosh, that's so cool. It's so cool to hear from you. Somebody who's just has built this reselling business to a point that many of us would just dream of. So I love hearing the perspective, man.
But that gives us a good transition to another point that I think we want to talk about here. A lot of the stuff that we do, and it doesn't have to be a reselling business, but in general, a lot of different businesses. I think sometimes we get to the areas that we overthink a lot. That there's simple steps and procedures that you can do in a business, and sometimes we overthink them and we do too much, and it causes us to get into these rabbit holes that, how can I do this better?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good enough what you're doing, and
Yeah.
we are doing sometimes things that, like, do I actually need to buy a better light for my photos? Is it good enough? Are the sales working? And people get into some, like, what's your guys' opinion on this? Like, overthinking stuff, to improve your business.
Well, I'm a big overthinker when it comes to everything that I do, so I can relate to it. I'm just analytical that way. I look at how I can maybe do something better. I've learned recently, through other people who have gone through reselling and maybe have told me, hey, just sometimes you got to accept a good enough. What is your good enough, and make that work. You don't necessarily have to have the top of the line, this, that, and other thing. And so that's resonated with me, but I'm still analytical. The wheels are always turning with me when it comes to trying to do the best that I can. I've never been really great at one thing. I've really been sort of good at a lot of different things, and it's trying to become great when I guess maybe it's just not there. I don't know. That's kind of what I have going through my head. And for the most part, I'm happy with the results when it comes to the things that I do, including reselling and YouTube.
Oh yeah, you're being hard on yourself. I mean, like a lot of us can be, John. I mean, I think we can all overthink things at a time, but you're also action oriented. Like you do have a lot of thought cycles per day. You got a lot going on up there, but you also do something about it. You're not just sitting thinking about it. So I think there's a difference there.
Well, it's just you take action on some of the thoughts, right? And when you start thinking that, like, for instance, I'm known for this, right? So it's the geolocation theory. If you leave, right? So you're on vacation now, and the theory that I came up with, because I was seeing that this was happening with my business, or I'd be gone for 5 days and the sales would die. And I thought there's got to be something to it. And then you start thinking, there's apps out there that, including eBay, that tell you we monitor your location, and you're starting to think, okay, why are you monitoring my location? Are you using this against me? And of course, it could be irrational. I think there's cases to be made either way. But that's just one example of me overthinking things. Just, go on vacation, have a good time, get into your app, respond to buyers when they send you a message, send offers, and enjoy the rest of your time.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. That's a perfect example you gave, because I think, and then all of a sudden you digging deep down, you're trying to figure out if what you just said makes sense, and you looking things up, and all of a sudden you waste 2 hours on something that you absolutely have no control over it. You don't really.
Yeah.
And you could have done so much, so many different things with that 2 hours. And now, and then it's like, and then you bring it up, then we make a show about it, then we talk about this. Like,
that's right.
but is it really necessary sometimes? That's what I meant about overthinking things. It's just, I don't know.
I
I don't
wouldn't
know.
put half the effort into some of the things that I talk about if I didn't have a YouTube channel. I would either believe it and, do this more of the same to go along with what I think's happening until it shows me otherwise. And I wouldn't really think much of it. But the fact that I have a YouTube channel, oh, this could be something. Let's explore it, right? So we explore it for the sake of content. And either we find something that could confirm what we're saying, even though it could be coincidence, or we, debunk it, but we still use that information to have a conversation with the masses versus, you know what, I'm out on eBay Island. I don't have a YouTube channel. I thought this was the way, and I'm not going to spend much more time. If I get sales, I get sales. I think it's a little different mindset as a reseller, having a channel versus not having a channel.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're probably right there. Yeah,
yeah.
I would agree with that. Now, let me ask you this: like, I mean, both of you guys been selling for a while now, right? I mean, you've been in this game pretty deep. You kind of seen it all. What is like number one thing that every couple weeks or every couple months still bugs you that you like, oh, I wish this never happened, or I spent too much time on this or that, doing this business? Is anything come to mind? Like,
Oh, I mean, so many things. I still struggle with that. I think in the beginning, I struggled with editing photos too much, or just the perfectionism trap. And I think sometimes that can just be a lack of clarity, maybe, of like, what is the actual goal here? It's luckily with eBay, it's pretty simple. It's just getting to the sale. So you just have to be good enough to make the sale, right? But I think that even still, sometimes an easier question to ask yourself is just, how can this be more perfect? How can I make this photo a little better? And I'll see people spending more time on like their photo for eBay than some people do on their Instagram, or probably more time than I spend on like my YouTube thumbnails, because I'm very much just like a good enough person. But there
Yeah.
are people that I think you can get caught in this trap. It's just a question that never ends of like, how can this be more perfect? Can I have better lighting? What kind of camera does that, like, what kind of camera are you using? Like, all those questions, none of that really matters. Like, they're all good enough. Any kind of lighting is good enough to make a sale. Any kind of camera is good enough to make a sale. So all that for a beginner really is just, it doesn't really matter to me. But people spend so much time on these apps like Photo Room, and like, honestly, as a buyer, I don't even like looking at edited photos, because I like to see where the actual, I just want to get as much information as possible from the photo to try to, and when I see editing has been done, I'm also wondering, well, have they changed the lighting? Have they maybe erased a smudge or two? Like, how much editing has been done on this photo? So I don't even know if it's even
yeah,
helping, but there's just that constant quest to be more perfect and to get a more perfect item description and the item specifics. And I just think almost an easier question to ask yourself of, how do I do this like that person on YouTube, or how do I do it perfectly, instead of how do I just get to my goal as efficiently as possible? How do I just get to my buyer doing as least clicks as possible? I think my goal always is, how do I post an eBay item with as few clicks as possible? And I just see a lot of beginners trying to overcomplicate it when you're already at a disadvantage because you're having to do everything as if it's the first time, and that already is harder. So I
Yeah, I'm
think it's
guilty
just,
of all that. I'm guilty of all that you just
it's
said. I'm
hard.
guilty of
Yeah.
all of it. And I it's all baked into my processes now that that's just the way I'm going to be. I'm going to try to, and it's not about being perfectionist, I don't think, because if I go back and look at some of my listings, I know that I can do better in some areas. It's about just being competitive. So if I see other people selling the same item, I don't want to present my item the way they do. Maybe they only put 2 photos in the listing, or maybe they have a blurry photo, or it's not all that clear as to what I want to be. A better representation of whatever product they're looking for. I want my item to be the better listing, that is, they gravitate to that listing versus one where it may be a very similar price and everything else, but I took a little bit more time, and that shows the buyer. That's kind of why I do it.
now the bottom question is, though, does how much you think overall in the long run, how much difference that makes? Are you actually physically or somehow are able to prove that because that photo is a little bit crisper or a little bit brighter or better angle or 2 words of extra description helped you to sell that item versus the item that was semi-okay photo, but it was $12 cheaper and sold 3 weeks earlier. Like like
I don't know. I don't know. You can prove that. I don't know how you'd prove a lot of the
right?
things on eBay because the algorithm is a hidden thing. It's not clear. We do our best. We either discount the things that we don't think are all that important and we don't do them and we focus our energy on other things, or we just try to, present the best package we can and spend a little extra time. Look, I'm a seller that has less than 1,000 listings in both of my stores. I make upwards of in sales. I mean, we're at between both accounts. This is nothing compared to you guys. You guys are killing me, but I'm upwards this month of $20,000 in sales. And I attribute that to really putting a more quality listing together than what I could be doing. I could have 2,000 items in my store and less time spent per listing, but I'm wondering what the return would be if I did that. And of course, I'm not willing to go and test it out either.
Yeah, but recently, and I told you that, John, that I changed my approach, that actually I went completely the other way, right?
Yeah,
I
right.
used to have a lot more listings in my store, and now I got significantly less listings.
Right.
And I'm making as much money, if not more. So, is it presented better? No, I think overall I'm picking just the better items that people want. I think that's the bottom line at the right price,
Right.
So, like, another thing I think a lot of people don't pay attention to, and doesn't matter if it's reselling or any other business, the cash flow. Right?
Right.
You want that money to be constantly moving and stuff, that it's not stagnant and sitting there forever, and you need the capital to make that business go. Yeah, you spotted a great item at that estate sale, you picked it up. So what? 12 months later, it's still in your store, not sold.
Yep.
And you thought it was at the great price, and it turned out it wasn't at the great price. You just liked the item. You took fantastic photos, but there's no cash flow. That item is sitting there, money tied up, nothing is happening. So I think paying attention, and I kind of concentrated on this for the last couple years, and I'm seeing huge improvement because of that. I used to buy anything that walked into the shop. Now
Right.
I'm so much cherry picking and presenting good quality product to people. I think it's one of the biggest keys, and that's why I said we overthink a lot of times, a lot of things, and it's just just basic that work.
Yeah. eBay at the end of the day, I think it's kind of, we're almost in the commodity business, which is not great, but in a way, we don't have a lot of control over the price. We can maybe command a little bit of a premium by having slightly better photos than the next person who's searching for Nikes. Maybe we can get an extra $1 or $2 or whatever, but it's not the same as, and I think a lot of people are taking classic business advice and maybe trying to apply it to eBay, where you do often want to, like, honestly, like John, like, you're treating this like a small business where you care about every package and you're making sure that everything is placed with the utmost care. But it's unfortunate that you're not really capturing those customers in the same way, and the branding. I mean, next time, if they bought a polo shirt, they're probably just going to type in polo shirt on eBay, and you're not really going to be able to affect the price of a polo shirt. Whereas if you're a Nike and you build brand recognition, you can charge double, triple, 10 times what somebody else is charging for a polo shirt if you are able to build and create that brand loyalty. But I don't know if, as eBay sellers on eBay, we're just like trading commodities once people have already searched for the brands that have done that groundwork. It's different if maybe we had our own brand or something, but that's where I've noticed, and maybe it's unhealthy, because when you're in a commodity business, like you're just an Amazon seller, just selling one of 1,000 water bottles or something, then you're kind of forced to do a race to the bottom and maybe skimp on quality and focus on efficiency instead of just making sure that everything is the highest quality, because you don't have as much ability to charge a premium as you might if you're an actual small business that has more control over your own prices, I think.
Yeah, I think it really depends on, obviously, the product that you're selling, right? Because if you are selling that one of a kind item
Yeah. Okay.
that requires great presentation.
Yeah.
But if you're selling, like you said, commodity, you selling that Bluetooth speaker, JBL Bluetooth speaker that everybody knows what they're gonna get, what it does, what it is, then it pretty much becomes just about the price and how quickly it can get the item. You're not trying to, like you said, create a brand. They already know what they're buying, right? They know exactly what's gonna come. So trying to make it better by taking 6 extra photos, I don't know if it really pays off. I really don't.
Yeah. I mean,
I've always tried to play to the
yeah.
algorithm. The algorithm is,
Yeah.
you have two aspects of selling on eBay. You have the buyer and the buyer's perception of what they're looking for, and something you want to be able to catch that buyer's eye. So if you have a lot of the same listing on eBay and your photo tends to stand out more, could catch their eye. They could click into your listing because what's something about your listing is different. They click into it. But also I look at the algorithm part and what eBay wants. So you look at your listing quality report. A lot of times, many categories, eBay says that the average of the top 10% of sales in that category average out 6 photos per listing. And you're sitting with 2 and your sales are slow. Well, to me, logically, that may not be the exact reason why you're not getting sales, but it could be part of the reason why your item is not getting pushed higher up in the algorithm, because you're not doing all the things that eBay wants you to do. And hey, I look at it like this. I don't have the perfect eBay account, but my sales are pretty solid for what I'm doing, and I'm going to keep doing what works until I see otherwise, and then I'll pivot again and try to find something else. And I think playing to the algorithm has really worked for me.
No, I do agree with that too. I wasn't saying like comparing 2 pictures to 6 pictures to 12 pictures.
Right.
All I was saying, like, you can take, 12 pictures. Is it necessary though to take 12 if you can get away nicely with 5 and 6? Yes, 1 or 2 might be not good enough. But if already somebody's searching for product that they know what they want, they kind of know what they're getting. So, like I said, unless it's unusual item that you want to present it as much detail as you want on that, I don't know if it's a huge factor. I think it's a huge factor when it comes to price on something like this, then, because you have, let's say, and I see this all the time, and let's use that example of the JBL Bluetooth small speaker. Let's say there's 10 sellers selling it. The sell-through rate is really great. It does sell all the time. You look at all the solds, and every of these speakers, let's say, is selling for on average $45 to $50, like daily, same kind of number. And then you all of a sudden look at what's available, and everybody is like at $64.95, trying to get like the most, which they never will. Nothing sold at that price. They're only selling $5 less that this thing is selling brand new. You know what I mean? Would I be better off going in and selling this if it sells for that $50, putting $49.95, selling it, making my profit, getting that money, and buying another product and moving on? And I don't see a lot of people playing that game. Everybody's trying to squeeze out the most money that they can, and I don't think that's always the best.
Yeah. Oh, John, I think you're muted.
You're muted, John.
I agree. I don't know why I'm muted. So
Okay.
I agree with that. But going back to what you said as far as the number of photos, I kind of look at it like this. If you're promoting it like 5%, right? But eBay wants you to promote it 10. But you're looking at your listing quality report and you see that everyone's promoting it like 4. I think you're good enough, right? I think you're above where everyone else is at. And it's sort of the same thing with photos. I think if you have 5 or 6 photos in there and everyone's averaging 4, I think you're doing well. I think that adding 5 more photos isn't going to really move the needle, just like adding 5 more points on your promoted listings percentage. I think sometimes we can over promote where, let's follow the recommendation. Let's do 15% when maybe 8% would have been enough, and would have yielded the same result.
Or 0%.
For some, but I promise you, you're not going to get the same number of impressions, and that's opportunities as others. I don't know. Joe, you promote?
Just at 2.2%, and not even my whole store. They added a new feature recently of like eBay recommended listings, and I think what it does is it kind of like Promo Nomo a little bit, but not as elegant as Promo Nomo certainly, but where it withholds on doing promoted listings if I just list an item brand new to my store for a couple of weeks. But then if I check in on it maybe 3 or 4 weeks later, I'll notice that it's then been added to the promoted listings if it hasn't sold already. But I only do it at 2.2% just to give it a little boost if it hasn't sold already.
Do you ever look into a listing? Look at a listing. Pull up a listing and scroll past down through the listing where it shows you rows of other people's listings. And there's about 5 or 6 different sections. 5 of 6 will say others you may like, and then promoted or sponsored, right?
Mm-hmm.
And only 1 will say others you might like, and it doesn't say sponsored. So I look at it as if you promote, you're going to get more opportunities to be in those other 5 spots, those slots where you can scroll through versus not. And I think that eBay pushes promoted listings in those other areas within other people's listings. So maybe the thing is they clicked on that listing. It's kind of what they're looking for. They're scrolling down and now they're looking at other listings. I want to steal that sale, by being there. So I'm so analytic at things. I consider all these things. Maybe, as you said at the beginning of the segment, to slightly my detriment in that I'm spending too much time.
Oh, but, no. No, not at all. No, because what's working, you got experience. That was more to the beginning resellers who were, because it's so easy to get lost in the sauce and then to not take action. You're taking action. You're just taking a lot of time to also look back and say, was that a good idea? I hope that didn't feel like it was pointed at you.
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. None of this conversation I really like the spirited conversation, by the way. I think this is certainly needed for our show to.
So I got another question, and I think it's a good one for being a business owner. Basically, the trap of being your own boss. When you work for somebody, there's always some kind of structure, right? Yep. Be on time. This is what we're gonna do in this, 3 hours. This is what's planned for this week. Being your own boss, you have to create that. Not everybody is good at that. And I think people who treat business too loosely, that there's no structure, fall apart quickly. What are your guys' thoughts on that? I think having a schedule of doing things is so important. And everybody makes it glamorous. Your own boss, you can do whatever the hell you want. Today I'm gonna sleep till 11. How is it for you guys? It has to be structured for me.
I think I was uniquely set up. I'm being a homeschool kid, which explains some of the weirdness, I think. But I really thrived in that environment. And thankfully, my mom, I think one of the moments where I really became an entrepreneur, and credit to my mom for being flexible, is I was homeschooled. So I'd grow up and I did kind of have to create my own schedule. Some years we would be more structured than others, but basically I would wake up and I'd have a stack of books and I'd have to do one lesson out of each subject for the day. But it was up to me, even maybe as an 8 or a 10-year-old, to kind of create my own schedule. And I remember asking my mom, I know everybody else, all the neighborhood kids can't come outside and play until 3, but if I get all my work done in an hour, can I just go play in 1 hour? If I just figure out, because I was kind of expecting it to take that long. And so it was taking that long. Sometimes tasks will take up as much time as you give them. And I just assume that's how long you should be doing school. But I remember having a moment of like, can I just do this as fast as I can so I can get back to the other stuff? I want to go skateboard or whatever I was doing, riding my bike. And my mom said, yeah, you can. You can go play your Game Boy or whatever. I think we actually got Child Protective Services called on us because I was playing outside too early and our neighbors were worried that we weren't in school. And I had just already done my school. But that kind of
Yeah,
freaked my parents out. So then they're like
but
playing in the backyard maybe.
that's a fantastic example for you to kind of show us that you grew up with this as a little kid. You already have a structure how to manage time, what you need to do. Now, for people that been in working for the big boss, like you, John, how many years you work for the company? Very long time, right?
26
You-
years.
26 years.
Yeah.
So, everything is pretty much, this is how we do things, right? This is, you're going to follow our thing. And then you step out of that and you have to create your own strategy, your own, So what do you got to say about that?
Well,
Like,
I was, I can't say lucky, but I started when I was 19, right? And went through this whole career. You learn what the company wants you to do. You start to feel a certain way about it, right? A little resentful sometimes. It's like they don't care about us. And then you become management. So I was in management for the last 11 years of my time there. And I had a chance to not only run my own team of people, but I also ran departments within the company. And you get to see it from both sides. Because you are running something, it's the closest thing you can be to actually owning it if you are placed in a position to manage it, right? Because the way this department works or ends up running is a reflection on you. So you have to follow the processes. But it's also looking at what's broken and getting in there and fixing processes. That I was pretty good at doing that. So I had a successful time doing it. And then it's what helped me feel like I could make this thing work full time when they came to us and said, hey, you can either take the severance package, call it a career, do whatever the hell you want with your life, or step down from management like everyone else will, go to 3,000 miles away to Philadelphia and pretty much start over and exercise your seniority on the front lines, taking phone calls again. And if it wasn't for that management experience that I was able to get to run my own departments, I may have taken the other option. It was a little less scary to have that experience under my belt that I can do this versus there's a lot of beginning resellers out there who really have no idea what it's like running anything, but yet they jump into it and then they find out that they fall right on their face. And I think it's this experience that's kind of help us get through the bad times and make it work.
yeah, I think it is a big deal, managing your time and doing some kind of structure and then sticking with it, that like,
Yeah.
because I see people all the time, and when they come and talk to me, like in a shop, I want to do this, I want to get in this. And then all of a sudden, okay, they're only become either buyers, and they end up with these huge piles. And then on top of it, let's say they live in a crazy town like Las Vegas, like you. There's so many things to do. They get distracted, right? I mean, like,
Oh man, you're not kidding.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you have to stick to this to make it work. And I don't care if it's reselling or, you're running a mechanic shop or some other business. I mean, there's got to be structure. Now, it's even worse in our kind of business because you can do this from home, right? You can set your own hours. At least if you are a car mechanic and you have a shop, people are coming at 8 a.m., you got to be there, right? Here,
Yep.
whatever, right? You can go shopping, whatever. You can make deals, whatever. You can pack. You can ship. I mean, you can work at midnight if you want. So it's
right.
I think this is a hard one,
But I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
How can you expect eBay to be consistent with your sales if you're not consistent with eBay? If you list one day, take 3 off, list a couple days in a row, think, oh, I'm on a roll, take 5 off, and then you wonder, where are my sales?
Yeah, I think another Alex Hormozy quote, I think he said something like, what often presents as volatility is often just a lack of volume. And so I think that you realize how random eBay can be, and even experienced sellers start to recognize that you really can't expect anything to be consistent, much less when you were listing a tenth of what you're actually capable of. That can be hard. I think it's an expectations problem. Like, you can't expect consistent sales. It's a worldwide garage sale. Sometimes some people might walk into your virtual store today, maybe nobody the next day. I can see it as just a garage sale. So the only consistency is over long time scales. You got to really zoom out.
I think consistency helps you. If you look at the very few number of people who actually choose to buy your item as compared to the number of people who actually go in and click on your item, it's no surprise to me how we can have the variation can be the variance can be so different. You can have $1,000 sales day, $2,000 sales day for you guys maybe, and then the next day is like a $200 day with the same level of traffic. It just, you had a little fewer more people that decided to buy that day than the next, and you wonder, well, what happened? Nothing really happened. You just happened to get those buyers who were willing to buy your item versus those who clicked away.
But I think you are so right. Not only being consistent, but also being consistent for that algorithm. I think that's a big thing too. You are being rewarded overall for being consistent. I think, and maybe it is another, we don't know exactly how that algorithm works 100%. Maybe it's another crazy theory, right? Like, but if it works and you stick with it and you're seeing results, I think it does, make sense. I think it's no different that when you're fishing in a lake and you're presenting that fishing lure many times, eventually you're catching that fish, right? If you're gonna throw it here and there once in a while, how often you're gonna catch that fish? I think it's kind of the
Pete,
same
that is one of
thing,
my favorite analogies. I think that's one of my favorite analogies for eBay selling, is that we are fishermen. And I think the best thing that you can do is just focus on consistently putting out more poles each day, hopefully in places that there's some fish swimming around, and maybe change up the bait, change up the items. But you can take the analogy pretty deep, and I see different marketplaces as maybe a different pond, and you can take the same item and put a string over here too and see if you can get a bite. But I think the only consistency that might be helpful to focus on is what is our own consistency of inputs. Maybe consistency of outputs might be a pipe dream in a business like this as a reseller, but consistency of inputs, like how many lines did I put out today? How many fish do I even have a chance to catch? Right? I think it's hard. I think it can be procrastination, or what can often appear as procrastination, but often I think it's just a lack of clarity. I think you talked about a lot of early resellers, Pete, that become buyers. Buying looks busy. I think a lot of us, we become resellers, we're coming from a different job, and we're trying to justify this, to ourselves, to our partner. And a lot of the real work of eBay doesn't really look like work. Sometimes you're just on your phone or on your computer and you're doing price research, and that can be like the most money-making thing that you can do, but it doesn't look like much. And it might not generate sales for another week or two. So you've got that voice in your head of like, I need to look like I'm doing something. And a lot of the real work of eBay is the listing and the logistics and the boring stuff. But to feel busy, to look busy, what you do by default, I think, is just go buy more stuff. That's sad. You do see a lot of people that get stuck in that.
Yeah. So I've removed that almost entirely from my process. I have my wife. She does most of the sourcing now, and sometimes I'll do it just to give her a break. But it's just she actually goes and picks it up too. So she buys it and she'll go pick it up, and then she'll bring it back home, and then I open up the hatch and start unloading and discovering what she's brought for me. Wow. And it's my job to make that work, and it's been a process that's worked pretty well for us. So
wow, that's awesome. That's a great system, man. That's cool.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: what is the most, how would I put this? Let's break our business, the reselling business, into like 4 or 5 categories. Which one, from packing, listing, sourcing, doing research, which one for you guys, it's like the number one thing that you have no problem spending time and doing it? Which one is your favorite one?
Oh, for me, research. I'm a total dork. I want to read all about it, the history of it. I want to go on the Wikipedia page and read all about the different models and the color names and stuff. So that's where I've had to be more strict with guidelines because I can get lost in the sauce and listing. And I love researching. And I'll try to tell myself, okay, I can go read more about this. I'm going to bookmark it, and in my free time, I'll come back and read this. But if I've set aside time for a listing, that's not the same as research. But I want to know all about this stuff. I'm a nerd about this stuff. So I like the behind the scenes stuff.
Okay, so the research. What about you, John?
Oh man, none of it's really exciting. None of it's really exciting. Can I count when I'm analyzing how much I made that week? Does that count? That's pretty fun.
Yeah, you
Counting
hey,
your money.
listen,
Scrooge
listen,
McDuck over here.
no, you actually analyzing your numbers, right? Which is
Yeah.
very important. I mean, you
Totally,
gotta
man.
do this in your business to figure out where you at, what you did, and are you doing good? No, you analyzing your numbers. This, and if you're good at it, you know how your business now operates. So
Yeah, I like jumping into numbers. I like, I recently brought back a spreadsheet that I had used in 2023. I kind of shelved because we signed on with my reseller Genie. They keep track of like all the data and stuff. But I think automating things sometimes can remove you away from what's really happening in your business. So getting back into having a spreadsheet that will tell me that particular item, my margin, right? How much, it'll surprise you if you have a way to get in there and just, input the numbers from a sale, and then it'll tell you if you have a program right. Oh, you made 30% margin. You made $10 on this item when you thought, man, this might be a break even. And it's just eye opening, and it helps you. So like, you know what? I wasn't going to buy that next time, but I didn't do too bad with this. So maybe I will buy these again. Right. So I think
good.
it helps you understand what's going on in your business. Now, some people don't want to dive that deep into the numbers, but I've always been that kind of a person. I've always wanted to dive in, and that's probably the reason why it's
no,
intriguing.
that's good, and it's very, very important because now it's in your memory. Those numbers, like you just said, oh, I bought this item. Maybe I should have, but I did good with it, right? It produced results, and for the future, hey, I'm gonna go after this. This did well for me because you did your numbers. You understanding this. For me, guys, number one thing is the moment when I am able to negotiate the deal with somebody. I mean, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, when is the next negotiation? And it doesn't matter if it's just over the counter, face to face, or is it over the phone, or somebody send me a bunch of pictures and we're just emailing back and forth. That moment that I'm striking a deal and hopefully it's in my favor, best part of this business. I can do this all day long. Everything else, I can delegate that work and I don't have to see it anymore. Although I do enjoy shipping for some reason. I don't know why.
Pete, are there any, when you see a person walking into your shop with as much experience as you do, and you're already starting to think about in the negotiation phase, are there any personality quirks or anything that you notice about a person that you're kind of taking a mental note of, like that might affect how these items might be priced or how the negotiation might go later on?
Yeah, 100%. If somebody is super energetic and talking about their item and they're trying to sell it to me like it's the best thing they have for me, I know I'm getting this at the steal. Like I know I'm gonna crush them.
Because they're desperate. You're seeing that as like they need the
Exactly,
sale.
because I'm
Yeah.
seeing that they're overselling, they're trying to extract as much as they can out of the item, but they will not, this is not gonna happen. So it's the little tales that they telling me right away that that they want to get rid of the item. The hardest people to negotiate when they just come in, they set the item down, you ask them how much they're looking for, they say nothing. Like it's just quiet. You got to do all the research and then you throw out the number and they still stay quiet, and that's the hardest ones, and I'm like, okay, there's probably going to be no deal here. So yeah, I look for these little tales when people come in, how they act, And I like to ask the story, like why are they selling the item? Where did they get it? Is it something that it's, they're so deeply, attached to that item that, it almost be no price that I throw at them that they're going to sell it for, you know? Or is it something that was given to them and, laid in a basement for months and they don't care? So story is important, So
those are the same questions you ask people when they bring in a bunch of iPods or, AirPods.
Yeah.
I've seen that episode too. But it's sort of like the same thing, same line of questioning, or that you have at a yard sale, or the negotiation tactic at a yard sale. You go up and you want to buy an item, and you're like, well, how much? Well, you make me an offer. That is the worst thing to have to buy, is when the seller's like, I don't know, you tell me.
But I love that question, John. I love that question. When they say to me, well, you make me an offer, and I immediately spill out something so absurd that either they chuckle, it's $100 item, and you said you made me an offer, $10. Are you crazy? Well, you told me to make you an offer. I did. Now you counter. And now you're getting a funny conversation. And now they say, oh, I need at least 50. And you open your door, you put, you can make it funny. I mean, the more they talk to you, the more info you get from them. So you want them to open up. And if you can strike somehow the conversation, it's.
Well, let's flip the script a little bit. What about pain points? What's the biggest pain point in your business, your day-to-day business? What is the one thing that you wish that you didn't have to deal with?
Cockroaches, man, I don't know. But sometimes I'm like, if I'm getting grossed out, then other people are getting grossed out too. Oh, the amount of cockroaches that a single video game console can hold, you would be shocked. Like it's like a weight difference. It's disgusting. Anyway, I think the pain point for me, I think returns is always an issue for me. Just because I feel like I've already mined all the happy feelings and novelty, and now I've kind of got to process and resell the same item. That's a big one for me.
Maybe a little disappointment that you thought you did everything you could to make that a good transaction, and for whatever reason, if it's a legit return, they didn't find the same value that you did.
Honestly, the other one is something that I've been continuing to try to grow out of since I started reselling, which is trying to get all the money for an item. I still have that tendency to want to try to squeeze every last dollar instead of focusing on the big picture and saying, there isn't a shortage of inventory. I can get as much. I could fill up my house if I wanted to. So the game is efficiency and not optimization in that way. But it just, especially coming from our background, I didn't come from a wealthy background, and so that kind of pinching pennies does serve you to a point. But then you build skills, and you're like, actually, I'm spending all this time picking pennies off the ground, and there's dollar bills if I just look up, and I am willing to climb a little bit. So I think just learning to sell in bulk. To be messier. Honestly, my pictures have, if anything, have gotten worse, but my customer service has gotten better. My behind the scenes stuff has gotten better, but I'm just not focused on perfection. I'm just trying to get the stuff in and out and not get every dollar out of the item. But I still struggle with that. I get an offer, I listed it for $100 and I've had it listed for a month, and I get an offer for $70. And I'm like, well, there was that one sold comp for 79. And I'm like, dude, you paid $14 for it. Sell the item. No business ever went out of business by selling profitable items. And you just got to repeat the cycle as many times as possible. But I still got caught, it's maybe a background thing of just it feels like I'm wasting money or losing money or something. But there are more valuable resources than just pinching dollars on individual items, I think. So I don't know.
What about you, Pete?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. For me, things that I wish that I have.
Just one thing that you, when it comes up, you're like, oh man.
So I think the most dreadful thing, and I gotta do this once a month, and come up, sit down, and calculate all my numbers, like the sales tax in a shop that I have to pay, and make sure it's submitted on time, and get all the receipts. I hate dealing with all this accounting bullshit. Now I do have an accountant that does, my payroll, but even those basic things that I just got to get it together to get to them. I hate dealing with that.
Can
If
I-
I'm
I,
with you on that.
Can I ask you a
Man.
question on that note? On that note, what are your thoughts about sellers who complain about paying eBay fees on sales tax?
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
I don't know why there's a complaint. It's just, it is part of us doing business. It is what it is. And
But do you feel like it's the trade-off of either eBay can have us do it ourselves for the 40 some odd states that you have to file?
oh my God.
Oh, I'd never want to do that. I'll pay
Yeah.
I'll pay them. I'll definitely pay for that.
Versus versus letting eBay do it for whatever percentage you're paying anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
imagine.
listen, I have to do this only once a month for my shop, and I just told you I absolutely hate that. If I would have had to do this for every single item
Every
all over the
state?
country,
Oh,
I quit.
Yes. Maybe that's what we want.
Yeah.
We want just to let eBay give it back to us, stop charging us fees on taxes, and let all the sellers figure out how to send, tax collection to Illinois
Yeah, that would be
and all the other states that collect.
by
How
end
many
of
people would
this
stick around for that?
by end of this week we would have 6 sellers.
Or
left
somebody's
on-
going to get a lot of money offering that service all of a sudden. Some business will pop up and offer it for a good price.
No. And another thing is, okay, so that's one thing, right? How many people are actually complaining about paying that 8, 10, 12% commission to eBay? And okay, an extra couple for your promoted, whatever you're doing, it's peanuts. Try to run a brick and mortar like me. You'll see how much it actually costs you to get that item to the customer out the door.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just people have no idea how much it costs. I think, and I'm gonna say this quietly so eBay doesn't raise the prices on us, but 10% is nothing. 12%
Should
is
have told me. I
nothing.
would have muted you there.
You know,
Should have told me ahead of time. I would have muted you. I can add to this. Look, I wore this shirt for a reason because I knew we were going to kind of talk about this. I don't recommend people. I am probably the first person in eBay history today. I think I set the record where I sold one item to one person. It led to 2 positive feedbacks. Now, how's that possible? Well, they gave me the wrong address when they first bought it. They hit me up and I said, no problem. Let's go ahead and cancel it and repost it, which I did. And we sent it to them. They left me glaring positive feedback for both of them. We'll do business again. Great seller. And then all of a sudden, like 2 days later, I get a charge back from this person. No message, a charge back. And they put non-responsive seller. It's like, what do you mean non-responsive? We were talking about the weather. You were telling me, you're out in Arizona and it's as hot as it is here in Nevada. I don't know how we got to that, but hey, I'll get this out in the mail tomorrow. It's all paid for. It's all good. Yet you couldn't go and hit me up and say, hey, there's a problem. And so I could either figure out, either what I'm going to do for you or send you to eBay to open a return. And then they open the chargeback. And then they send me a message. Oh, a heads up. I had to open a chargeback through PayPal. What? So, yeah, that's why I wear this shirt. I think it's dealing with the 5% of the buying population that, I hate to say this, it's going to come off so bad, but it seems like they don't have 2 brain cells to rub together sometimes. And you have to put up with that. You have to deal with that.
Yeah.
You can ignore it, I guess, but I mean, eBay wants us to deal with that. So and then at the same time, I'm telling people on my live streams that, it's you got to develop a mindset to deal with it. It's easier said than done.
For sure. And there's, and I deal with so many people on daily basis, face to face, and you think you've seen it all. And there's always somebody else shows up the next day with something that it blows your mind and you go, my gosh. But that's the world we live in. I'm sorry. I mean, that's how it is, so
And you got to
Just-
deal with these people face to face sometimes. So it's
Yeah.
But you
even
know
worse
what?
for
You know what? You know what's crazy? I actually like that. As
I love that
crazy-
he comes across in the videos. It does.
Oh,
It
yeah.
does. You have a thrill.
Oh, yeah.
It's thrilling to watch you. I love it, man.
It makes my day when I make a good deal, when I meet people, when I negotiate a good deal, or sometimes if I could just help out somebody, that even makes it better too, you know? So it's just like I live for these moments all the way around. Yeah. Yeah. So it's crazy. I'm a people person, not like that t-shirt here.
Yeah, like that guy came
Yeah.
in and you're negotiating with the price and you're kind of going back and forth and you kind of got him down a little bit, but then he had his little thing, whether it's true or not. He's like, I have no place to stay, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna give you what you wanted on this because I want it, to help you out. I think that was
like
really
they
cool.
say, everybody's fighing a hard battle. It's hard to know what people are
You
going
see
through,
that a
right?
lot on your channel. It's awesome when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try. That's and hopefully, well, how they said it, it's one big circle. It comes around, right? And I strongly believe in that. So if you do help out somebody when they're at need, I think it's gonna come back to you. So
Yeah, and despite the fact that I'm wearing this shirt, I really do think most people are good people. Just some, the 5% are kind of questionable. And the cool thing is today I had the pleasure of dealing with two of the most genuine people on YouTube that are the same person that they are in front of the camera as they are off the camera.
who
So
are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, which guy? I don't know. Man, I feel like I was like, thank you, John. I'm trying, man. It's hard. That is hard. I feel like my last video, I was like way too aggressive on my channel. And I think it was because the red recording light was on and then ego gets involved. So I'm working on it.
Well, the red
man.
recording
That
light's
hard.
on right now and you're fine.
Well,
And
I don't know. I try.
I came prepared today. I have to tell you, I brought my dictionary. I don't know where I put it, but I have it somewhere here just in case we got technical.
Oh no, I know. That's my particular neurodivergence coming out. Man, I gotta calm down. I gotta take a chill pill sometimes.
Yeah.
No, but it's okay. I mean, it's okay to have, good, healthy, long conversations. I mean, I think it's necessary, sometimes. By the way, I think it's a great idea. Joe, I watched one of your videos. The only thing I wish was that you come across so calm, and like John just said, and overall peaceful. The one video that you did, I think you're starting a new series that you want to talk about items. You were sitting somewhere in some kind of forest,
Yes.
and you were talking for an hour. I just wish I was a little bit like closer, because
Yes.
your voice comes, you can almost, and you even say it in that video, that you don't have to watch me, you can just listen to me as a podcast, and your voice is so great for that too, by the way. But when I watch you, I almost want to see you, and you had the camera set so far actually from you that I'm not seeing your like face expressions.
Okay.
And I think that's important. So I think it's a great segment that you came up. Obviously, it's not for everybody that comes to your channel, because you have a lot of informations on your channel. So this is a little bit different, right? This is not like you trying to teach or help, but it was very interesting, and the whole thing. And I'm telling you, do more of these, come up with stuff like this, but be closer to the camera so I can see you, man.
Wow, I'm holding on to every word. Thank you so much for the advice. Wow, thank you. Yeah, I will take that on board. I appreciate it. I honestly, I made that video for my kids, and we got to listen to it that night because they like to listen to sleepy, calming podcasts as they fall asleep. And I was like, I could do that. So I just created a new little podcast category on my YouTube channel and just decided on a whim to record it that day. And I would love to do it more. I love the kind of like working on an essay like that and just kind of reading it. And I do often, I mean, I read my kids to sleep almost every night. So I know I got the voice for putting people to sleep. So maybe not an advantage in a lot of arenas, but I'm like, I could turn that into an advantage, I think. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's strange when it comes to that voice too, because people come, and I have an accent, right? So it's even weirder for me, but people come to the shop and they tell me that they listen to me before they go to bed and I put them to sleep. And I'm like, oh my God,
Ah,
what? I like, why? But there is something, I guess, about the voice when you,
yeah.
it just, so I think you are the same. I
Dang,
truly enjoy listening to your
I,
voice.
I think I've been saying to you, man, I do think that's kind of underrated on YouTube. I really have not put very much effort into a lot of my YouTube production, but I always found that I am drawn to YouTube channels that have audio that is extremely listenable and clean, at least. And so that's been my
Right.
focus, at least. So
No, for
thanks for
sure.
noticing that, man. That really means a lot. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
audio is important. Sometimes you can have horrible even visuals in the video, but long as the audio comes in clear, you're gonna stick around, right? So
Yeah.
you can't hear somebody, it's all muffled, or you don't know what they're saying, and you don't know. Click, you're done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I'm
yeah, what?
hoping. I mean, it's funny just to watch the algorithm because I posted that video that did horribly compared to my, it was like a 10 out of 10, and then my next video was a 1 out of 10, and that was a good reminder for me to just stop worrying about the algorithm too much and just make what I like. Because that other one
Yeah,
may end up, that's more of an evergreen video that may get a bunch of views in a year or two. But I'm just trying to see my YouTube. Honestly, it's just a personal experiment where I'm just trying to quit trying to please anybody and just make stuff I like and see what
I've
sticks.
had videos that have gone from just like blah and it kind of died out. And then for whatever reason, the algorithm picked it up years later and it took off.
Mm.
I mean,
yeah.
we're talking like managed payments. I mean, who the hell's looking for a managed payment video? I mean, it's kind of second nature for all of us now, right? Then when it was coming out, it was a big thing, but it really didn't take off until the last few years for some reason. It's like you can't explain it. So you just make content you like to make that really seems like
So
it's going to help somebody, and
it depends. I'm gonna be honest with that one too, because you do, if you really want to make something that you like and enjoy, and then if you don't get the confirmation from the algorithm, you get a little bit bummed out and you might not proceed doing this. So yes, you kind of have to play a little bit in favor of the algorithm. So if you're making that video and if you feel it gave you a big satisfaction making that video, create another channel and start doing just that content because it's fun, and all of a sudden that might take off, because you're confusing now the algorithm, and you're also confusing your audience a little bit. So as much as it is, like, I did few vlogs throughout my career, personal vlogs on my channel, they completely bombed. But I had a lot of people reached out to me and they said, Pete, I loved it, the mountains that you went and the story that you said, it was great. And it was absolutely right, completely bombed. 1 out of 10. I mean, it's just horrible, no views.
Yeah.
You almost, and it sucks because that's how the algorithm is set up. There's very, very few channels they can mix up and do mash of things and they're still getting the same views. I struggle with this a lot. I have couple different ideas that I want to do, and I think I have to almost do completely separate channels, because it just, for my own sanity, when I do a project and I feel good about it and you're proud of it, and then it bombs, you go, holy shit, I just spent all this time, all this effort, and it's not doing anything, and you don't want to do it again. And that's not the idea, right? Especially if you're so passionate about something, it's hard. The YouTube thing is the whole other game. It's insane.
Did you find that putting that content on another channel actually helped? Did those videos do well on their own?
Well, I never created another channel for my personal blog,
Okay.
But like, for example, I did create another channel and it did well, and I wanted to see if it makes sense. And this is during pandemic. I don't know if you guys remember. I created a channel that was called Daily Flips. Most of my stuff on my channel is about negotiations, things that I deal with people, and once in a while I would, I'm showing off a product. Hey, I bought this for this much, and let's make a deal, one of those deals. I talk to my audience like that. But very rarely I would actually show a product that's sold, for example, on eBay, and I would be like, hey guys, look, I bought this cup for $7, and after 3 weeks it sold for 166. And I felt like people didn't like that in my content, so I created a separate channel just for that, me showing off items that I thought were cool. And I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to promote this on my main channel at all. I'm not going to talk about it that there's another channel. I'm just going to start completely new channel. That was before we had shorts on YouTube, because all these videos that I actually did were only 2 or 3 minutes long. That's all it was. Every morning I would come into the shop, I would open my eBay, and I would see 20 items sold. I would pick one item that I thought it was worth me talking about it. And I would say a short story, how much I bought it for, what it is, how much it sold it for, and how cool it is. Yeah. And I was able to build that channel from 0 to 10,000 subscribers in 6 months. Wow. That was my experiment, right? I hit the 10,000 and I shut the channel down. So that's what I mean about creating just a niche that you can you can just blow it up, you know? So that's what I'm saying. You talking about certain items for an hour, talking the whole history in a great environment with birds tripping in the background. I'm like, this is another channel.
All right. Thank you. I think you're right. That makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, because the audience does come to expect something, then the algorithm's going to serve it to those people. And so I don't want to sabotage the channel. Yeah, man.
And then all of a sudden you have a channel not only that people are excited, what is it going to be another episode about? What is Joe thinking about? What is he going to present to us and talk to us for an hour with his crazy deep voice? And is he going to be again in some kind of, forest, or is he going to pick another spot? And all of a sudden you just, not only you creating the people coming back to the channel because they like you, but now they're excited about something that you are talking about, bringing awareness to something new that they never knew. Or somebody just runs into that video because they wanted to learn about Game Boys, right? I mean, that's the video, or Nintendo, whatever subject you're talking. And the sky is the limit. You can talk about so many things.
That's what I'm thinking. I think,
you do the next video on the rim of the Grand Canyon.
I should. I was kind of thinking, honestly, that's why I brought the camera. I'm like, maybe I'll record a couple sleepy videos while I'm out here. Thank you so much for that advice, Pete. I appreciate that, man. I'm taking it all on board. I appreciate it.
So what do you guys think out there? We touched on a lot of different things. Of course, thank you, Joe, for being here. Really last minute, we kind of thought, let's reach out to Joe and see what he's up to. And he was kind enough to take a break from his vacation to chat with us. So thank you, Joe, for being here. And with that, Pete, why don't you take us out of here?
No, why don't Joe take us out of here? He's the guest. Let him finish it.
Oh gosh, I don't know if I can carry the weight of the responsibility. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. What a treat! And I learned so much from you guys. I mean, do y'all have about 50 years of reselling experience between the two of you? Something like that. I can imagine. I mean, like
part-time. I think you're pushing.
Oh, sorry. All right. No, you guys are young. You guys are my age, right? You guys are in your 30s. Never mind. That's impossible. Yeah. But thank you guys for having me. What a blast. And I've learned so much from you guys. So thank you. I'm here as a fan. I feel like part of this podcast, I forgot I was a guest. I was just like listening, like, I should be taking notes right now. So I appreciate you guys. What a treat.
Well, thanks, Joe. And everyone out there, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. But we want to hear from you what you thought about Joe and everything we talked about today. And we will see you guys here on the next one.
Peace.
Take care.